Hey everyone, we're diving into something that's probably pretty relevant to you all as public servants. Digital privacy.
You caught it. And it's about way more than just checking those boxes and legal stuff.
Yeah, it really is about making a difference, for the people we work for.
Exactly.
For this deep dive, we've got a really great resource, actually.
Okay.
It's the Canadian government's Digital Privacy Playbook.
Cool.
Kind of think of it as your cheat sheet.
Okay.
Not just to, understand all the details of digital privacy, but to really put it into practice in your day-to-day work.
What I think is so interesting about this playbook is it breaks down privacy into the different stages of a project.
Yeah,
Just like the ones you're all working on.
exactly.
It's about giving you actual tools.
Yeah.
Not just concepts.
Okay, let's jump into this.
Let's do it.
The playbook really stresses planning for privacy.
Right.
It's not just something you tack on at the end.
Yeah, you're so right. It is the foundation.
Yeah.
Imagine you're building a house. Would you wait until the roof's on to think about the plumbing?
Probably not a good idea.
No. Privacy's kind of like that plumbing.
Got it.
You got to build it in right from the beginning.
That's such a good analogy.
Thanks.
And for us, working
Yeah.
in public service, this is so important
Huge.
because we're dealing with sensitive data every day.
Every single day.
So getting this right from the start builds that trust
Absolutely.
and can help us avoid headaches later.
For sure. And one thing the playbook says is you got to engage privacy experts early.
Yeah.
You need to bring in all those different viewpoints, right from when you start brainstorming.
And it's interesting because it's not just about being legally compliant.
No.
It's about designing better services,
Yeah.
more citizen-centric.
Exactly. So imagine you're working on that new benefits portal.
Okay. Oh,
If you bring in a privacy expert right at the beginning, they can help you see potential problems you didn't even think about,
but like what?
like how to collect less data right from the start.
I see. So instead of asking for their full birthday, you could just ask for the year.
Exactly.
Or maybe just their postal code instead of their full address.
You got it. That protects privacy, but it also can make things easier for people using the site.
It makes the process smoother.
Yeah,
Huh.
100%.
The playbook also talks about identifying your personal information.
Mm,
And I thought that was so interesting.
yeah,
It's about being intentional,
yeah.
about what information you collect and asking yourself, do we really need this?
Right. Like if the answer is no,
You don't collect it.
don't collect it. Every piece of info you have increases the risk.
So it's all about being mindful and only getting what you need.
Minimizing that risk.
Yeah. It's like packing for a trip.
Oh, I like that.
You're not going to bring your whole wardrobe.
Nope.
You pick out just what's essential.
Exactly. Same with data.
We need to pack light
Pack light.
and just take what we really need.
By doing that, you're not just protecting privacy, you're also streamlining your processes. You're being more efficient and saving time and resources.
And it's a win-win for everybody, especially the people we're serving.
You got it.
Okay, let's bring this to life.
Okay.
Imagine we're launching a new website,
Yeah.
an online portal
Okay.
for people to access benefits.
Gotcha.
So we want to make it really easy to use and accessible,
Right.
but we also need to handle people's information responsibly.
Of course. So how does the playbook's advice on collecting, using, and sharing data come in here?
Yeah, good question.
Well, first you got to think about what information you actually need to collect. Do you need a whole birth date or just the year?
Okay, and then you got to think about how you're going to use that information within the site itself.
Right.
And will you share it with anyone? And if so, who?
Exactly. And how are you going to keep it safe, from people who shouldn't have access to it?
Yeah, those are all really important things to think about.
They are.
It shows how these principles, minimizing and identifying your personal information, they actually have a real impact
Real world impact.
on how we deliver services
Sure.
and ultimately how we affect the lives of the people we serve.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance
Yeah.
between providing services and making sure we do it in a way that respects people's privacy and builds trust.
Yeah, I like that.
D2.
So we talked about planning for privacy
Yeah.
and really being careful about what data we collect.
Right.
But then what? Once we have it, what do we do to make sure we're handling it responsibly?
That's where safeguarding personal information comes in. And it's actually about way more than just IT and security and, all those firewalls.
Wait, really? I always thought it was about having strong passwords and encryption and stuff.
Oh, yeah, those are super important, of course. But what happens if, someone accidentally emails a spreadsheet with sensitive info to the wrong person?
Oh, yeah.
Or what if a staff member loses a USB drive, with all kinds of confidential stuff on it?
Yeah, those kinds of mistakes happen.
They do. So safeguarding is about more than just the technology. It's about the people using it too.
Gotcha.
You want to create a whole culture of privacy within our organizations.
Yeah.
It's about having clear policies and training everyone regularly and just making sure everyone really gets it, how important it is to protect this information.
I like that. It's like everyone has a role to play.
Exactly. It takes a village, right?
Yeah.
The Playbook even talks about having a privacy breach management toolkit because, even with the best systems in place, things can still happen.
Yeah, you got to be ready for those oh no moments.
You do. So having a plan in place is key.
Okay.
It's about turning a crisis into something you can manage, and having a clear plan protects everyone, the citizens and the organization. And it also just shows you're serious about privacy.
Yeah, it shows we're not going to just ignore it when something goes wrong.
Exactly. It's about being transparent and accountable.
Right. Okay, so the playbook also talks about some common privacy deliverables.
Right.
And these are like the concrete things we produce that show we are committed to privacy.
Yes.
Things like privacy notices and privacy impact assessments, personal information banks, information sharing agreements.
No.
I'll be honest, when I hear deliverables, I think paperwork.
I know a lot of people do, but there's more to it than that.
Okay, there is?
These deliverables are really tools for transparency and accountability. They make us think through, what the impact of our actions is going to be on people's privacy.
Okay.
And to communicate all that clearly to the public.
So it's not just ticking boxes.
No, it's about showing people this is what we're doing with your data and here's why.
Yeah, like those cookie banners you see online.
Oh, yeah.
Just clicking accept without really knowing what you're agreeing to.
Yeah.
It's not really consent.
No, you have to give people the information and real choices.
So privacy notices, they're like these little guides to how we're using personal information.
They are. They tell you what we collect, how we use it, who we might share it with, and how you can access your info and correct it if something's wrong.
So it's like a window into how we're doing things.
Right, exactly.
And they're not just for the public, right?
No, they're great for training staff, too.
Oh, yeah. Keeping everyone in the organization on the same page.
Right. And making sure everybody understands their responsibility when it comes to this stuff.
I'm starting to see how it all connects. It's not just about the tech or the paperwork. It's about building a whole culture around privacy.
You said it perfectly. And when we get this right, we're not just following the rules, we're showing people we care about their privacy.
Yeah.
And that builds trust, which is so important for everything we do as public servants.
It really is.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
Planning, safeguarding, creating a culture of privacy.
It is a lot.
It is a lot to take in.
Yeah. But, the Playbook does a good job of breaking it down into manageable chunks.
Right.
So in this last part, I want to look at something that I think can be a little tricky. Okay. But that's where privacy and access to information kind of intersect.
Ooh, yeah, that's something I've definitely thought about a lot.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, we have to protect personal information and keep things confidential.
Right.
But then on the other hand, there's this idea of government transparency and the public's right to know.
You got it.
So how do you balance those two things?
That is the question a lot of us face every day.
It is.
And the key is to remember that they're not actually opposites.
Okay.
Privacy and access to information, they both come from the same core value.
Which is?
Trust.
Okay, interesting. Tell me more.
Think about it. When people trust that the government's handling their information responsibly, protecting it from people who shouldn't see it, then they're more likely to use government services, give accurate information, participate, be involved.
Yeah, that makes sense. If I trust you, I'm more likely to share with you.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, when the government is transparent and accountable, people can see how decisions are being made, how their money is being spent. That also builds trust.
So it's like this cycle.
Yeah.
Transparency leads to more engagement, which builds trust, which then leads to more transparency.
You got it.
I like it. But how do we actually make that happen, in the real world?
Okay, well, let's think about that benefits portal again.
Yeah.
We want people to be able to find what they need, get the services easily, but we got to make sure we're protecting their information.
Okay. So how do we balance those things in that specific example?
Well, first you have to decide what needs to be public and what needs to stay private.
Okay.
For example, things like who's eligible for benefits,
Okay.
how to apply, how to contact the right people.
Yeah.
All that can be public.
That makes sense because it's information that anyone can access.
Right, exactly.
Without putting anyone's privacy at risk.
Exactly. But things like how much someone's getting in benefits.
Yeah.
Their medical records, things like their social insurance number.
Right.
That has to be protected.
Got it. So we have to design the portal in a way that lets people see the general information.
Yeah.
But then use secure logins and stuff to protect the sensitive data.
Exactly. And the playbook actually mentions some pretty cool techniques like de-identification.
De-identification. That sounds fancy.
It's not as complicated as it sounds.
Okay.
Basically, you remove or change any information that could identify someone.
Okay.
So you can't tell who the data is about anymore.
I see. Give me an example.
Okay, let's say you want to give some data to researchers who are studying how well a program is working.
Okay.
You could take out names, addresses, social insurance numbers before you give it to them.
So they could still see the trends in the data.
Exactly.
They wouldn't know who it belonged to.
It's a really powerful tool for being transparent and protecting privacy.
Yeah, seeing how all this fits together. Now, it's not about saying yes to every request for information.
No.
Or no to every privacy concern.
It's about thinking it through.
Yeah.
Finding the right balance.
And sometimes it's a judgment call.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's where it helps to really know those privacy and access principles.
Right. And knowing when to get advice from the legal team or the privacy experts in your organization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to figure this stuff out, but the important thing is to really think it through and be balanced.
Yeah.
Keep in mind what's best for everyone, for the public and for each individual.
Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into digital privacy for public servants.
Oh, we did it.
We covered a lot of ground.
From planning to safeguarding to figuring out that relationship between privacy and access.
Right. It can. But hopefully you found this helpful and maybe even a little bit fun.
I hope so.
Remember, the Digital Privacy Playbook is a great resource.
Full of practical tips and real-world examples.
So as you go about your work serving the public, just keep privacy in mind.
It's so important.
It's not just about following the rules.
No, it's about building trust, respecting people.
And ultimately making a difference.
In the lives of the people we serve.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And until next time, stay curious.